Hi, everybody. Thanks for the time today. Mark Nicholson, one of the partners in our cyber practice. As we're getting bombarded with the narrative around AI, one of the areas that we're really kind of wondering where we're going is around security operations and the future of the work of cyber. We're kind of, at a precipice where it's really exciting. There's the promise of what's capable and the advantages that the cyber practitioners today will be able to take advantage of. And then there's also the scary part of, oh my goodness, what's going to happen and to my job, and or how is the adversary going to use this to further their asymmetric advantage, right? And so today, I'm very, very grateful to be joined by Anton, who I've known for a very long time, but I don't want to get anything. I don't want to miss anything here. So, if you don't know Anton and you're in security operations, you ought to, right?
Yeah, it's like an ad. I paid for it, of course.
Yeah. Look, he's currently the senior advisor in the office of the CISO at Google, correct? But he's spent the last 25 years contributing to our industry in a variety of ways. He's been a researcher. He's been a strategist at Net Forensics early in his career. He was a product developer and an evangelist at LogLogic, if you guys remember that organization. He tackled early challenges of PCI. He was a consultant. He was a volunteer in the HoneyNet project, which some of you might remember, which is a great group effort to try to really kind of contend with some of the adversarial activities. And he spent 7 years as a cybersecurity analyst, senior analyst at Gartner. But obviously, from my selfish perspective, the most important role that I think Anton ever played was as a member of the board of advisors to a little boutique called Vigilant that I had co-founded, that I sold to Deloitte about 12 years ago. So yep. Anton, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Perfect. It does come full circle, and at this point, I'm kind of like, I have to deliver on the high expectations, yes?
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to set you up. So Anton, I had a conversation. One of the things that we really want to talk about today is, starting the conversation around what does the future look like? I was having a conversation with head of group technology at one of the global banks a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about his 5-year strategy, and he said, well, a bunch of CEOs went to Davos a few months ago, and suddenly now we have incredibly ambitious expectations set on us around the efficiency that we can gain from AI. And so I intend over the next 3 years to not only eliminate level 1 from my SOC, level 2 and level 3, I want to fully automate vulnerability management and potentially some of the compliance processes that my organization has to contend with. What do you think about this? Is this possible?
So this is obviously built to have all the drama. And I think the original reaction was for me to say, no, they're insane. That's just absolutely absurd. But I want to go with a bit more nuanced answer. I would say that given the rapid change of AI, 5 years is for some people within this whole AGI prediction time horizon. So it's kind of hard to say what will happen in 5 years. But I want to start with one possibly contrarian point to this, is that many of the, even at that very bank, many of the processes and practices may involve automated steps, steps done by people on computers, and then at a certain step in the process, a human picks up a phone and says, John, do you know who knows this bit? And John says, no, I don't, but maybe this other person knows. So there's tribal knowledge that our organizations are full of, and some of the old, presumably bank isn't started a couple of years ago, but maybe more, has a lot of tribal knowledge. And to me, it's largely inconceivable how AI would make use of it today and probably in 5 years as well. So I'm kind of weighing the rapid progress and rapid qualitative changes and the fact that some things are very much stuck in the past, and sometimes it feels like for good. I left Gartner after actually almost 8 years, and I tried to think in 2019, what's the main lesson what's one lesson I learned after being at Gartner for 8 years? And I think that lesson I mentioned in my kind of like departure blog, and the lesson was never bet against IT inertia. Never bet that something old would not stay. And today I was talking to somebody from a large tech company, not the super new, but like middle-aged tech company. And I made a joke about how a modern SIEM has to support logs from Windows 2003. I looked at him and I said, well, for your company, maybe 2008. And he said, no, we have Windows 2003. At which point I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess that was my point. Yeah. So this sort of a meandering answer reminds me that rapid progress in AI, great, I believe in it. I see it, I see things, DeepMind is cooking, I see some things other people are cooking. The well-paid, very intelligent people make predictions about more rapid changes in 5 years. But I also see organizations where IT is at best in the 90s, and some of the stuff is dealt with on paper and by humans talking to humans. I don't see how that part can be eliminated. Right. Another side story to this is, of course, Google is kind of the home of zero trust, of approach to not having VPNs, approach to better network access control. And somebody said, how come Google was able to implement on that? And of course, Google has a lot less legacy systems. There's no mainframes. There's no, Windows 2003. I bet we don't have. And it took us some number of years to migrate to zero trust model. But if you think of a company that has all the stuff that goes to the 90s, 80s, 70s, if not 60s, I don't know, IBM 360, a lot of stuff is even harder. And AI does not really change that fundamentally or frankly at all. So I am torn. One half of me would answer from the rapid progress point of view, but the other half would look at all this stuff that exists. And I'm like, AI doesn't fix it. AI doesn't make it better. AI still gets smeared on top, and you'd have an environment with 1970s tech pieces and 2020s tech pieces, but it won't become 2020s as a result. Is it too long a little bit? But I'm kind of, I managed to overcome my instinctive reaction. No, that's BS. Yeah. But more like, possible from that point of view, likely impossible from that point of view.
So a lot of things will likely change. Many things will probably remain the same.
Yes.
And largely a lot of security jobs might be different in a few years, right?
Different.
So what are some of the biggest changes that you think we can expect?
So a couple of years ago, I think after ChatGPT arrival on the scene, somebody asked me, what would be the first security job that can go completely to AI? It was like casual question asked over drinks, over lunch, whatever. And I couldn't give him like an immediate answer, but I thought really hard. And I thought, okay, maybe somebody who crafts IAM policy, identity and access management policy. I felt like this is the very meticulous, detail-oriented job that requires a lot of structured data, but the data is also very structured, identity access management rules. And I said, okay, I think IAM policy design configuration can go to machines. And I forgot about that answer. And yesterday at Innovation Sandbox, I learned that a company launched an AI agent named Alex. I don't know why they named it Alex.
We have one named
but
Agent Smith.
Alex is, no, they did not call him Agent Smith. I would think Smith would be more logical, but this one is Alex. And Alex is an IAM expert for the company. So I almost thought, okay, maybe I was onto something. Maybe some of the IAM tasks can go completely to machines. But then back to legacy tech. How much legacy tech will survive? Can it really be connected? Sure, we have cloud to mainframe connectors. I'm sure somebody have Gen AI to mainframe connectors. I'm still a little nervous to bet on full automation, or even of these jobs. I mean, security awareness training that deals with humans, but that has a lot of potential for change, for being shaped into something that's packaged in machines, rapidly changed, and then served to humans. I don't think threat hunting is on that list. I think threat hunting is the machine-assisted process. I probably won't trust a robot hunter for the foreseeable.
Okay, all right. So you already touched on some of the things that are going to stay the same based on legacy environments and what have you. What are some of the other perennial challenges that we face in security operations and data analytics as it relates to cyber that will probably remain?
So this one comes up quite a bit as a question, because I was participating in some heated LinkedIn discussion about AI SOC and how there's now, somebody said there are 20 startups that do AI SOC, and then another person corrected them and said,
Was it like 100?
no, you're missing this 50 over here. So really it's not 30, it's more like 50 plus. And there was somebody who pointed out that for every AI SOC startup, there's a company that cannot collect logs, like at all. Like the perennial challenge of, sure, humans would analyze the data, machines would analyze the data, but you need to have the data. And you can point at some systems where everybody knows there would be telemetry, there would be logs, you can have EDR, you can have logs from OS, but then you pick something more interesting and it's like, are you assured that your company creates those logs and they're collected? Yeah, not always. So sometimes it's the perennial challenges of having the right data, having the data in the right format, in the right place. I mean, as a very self-serving example, I've spoken to some people who do DNR at Google. And one thing that we have as a sort of characteristic feature is the DNR team has more influence in terms of what logs are produced. And when this process was described to me, I looked at it and said, yeah, this is like perfectly normal. That's how it should be. But of course, I immediately realized it's perfectly logical that you'd have that, but most people don't.
Yeah.
In many cases, SOC cannot say, we demand these logs to be produced immediately from this application. And then application developers say, sure, right away, we're on it. Here's the data.
6 months.
6 months, right, at best. Yeah. But we have that, and that helped quite a bit. But at the same time, assuming that people have that everywhere else is silly. Yeah. So to me, some of these data access challenges remain, data quality challenges remain. For every well-structured, well-detailed telemetry format from a beautiful modern EDR vendor or an application security vendor, there may be many legacy formats that nobody knows. And sure, LLM would help, but it would help rather than magically solve it. Yeah. I think that beyond that, I'm shifting my view on alert triage quite a bit, because while 2 years ago I treated much of the AI-supported alert qualification processes to be very aspirational, today I see a lot more stuff that's quite robust and can work in real life, And to me, can work in real life is a higher bar that works in a demo. And I almost feel like nothing works in a demo, works in the real world, in a real company. The second gap is bigger. Like with the tools, with AI, with modern cloud native tooling, storage, scale, you can't jump from not having anything to having a demo-ready thing. But then try working at a proverbial Belgian bank, or that has, systems that maybe you built in the 70s.
Right.
That to me is a larger journey, and I'm more curious who would make the second part of the journey, not who would make the first part.
Thank you for that. So, one of the things that we've started to look at and try to understand as we're helping our clients navigate this future, culture is an important aspect, right? And change, embracing the change and being able to flourish in kind of the new reality of the capabilities that come. So what do the security operations jobs of the future look like? You mentioned that hunting necessarily, the experience of hunting isn't necessarily going to go away immediately. Maybe it will down the line, but take us out 3 to 5 years, and what are security operations practitioners doing?
So if I look at SecOps sort of stack from not just the SOC more narrowly, but from detection processes, maybe leave the incident response be, because ultimately if something really blows up, if the top shelf attacker shows up, you humans will be doing the work. Like I don't see that being transformed all that much. But in the other parts of detection, I do see a lot of AI brain powers being applied to alert triage. So I think that large bank leader, large financial org leader may have a point on many of the tasks dealing with clearing the alerts, contextualizing them, understanding them, and then deciding what to do. The actual doing TBD. It may still involve humans. But that part is where many of the startups are investing. They're trying to apply superior brain powers and superior context knowledge of various LLMs to understand this. And the second bucket is, of course, turning vague intelligence into robust rules. I think many people have a dream of looking up some PDF online that says APT42 can do X to your network and that would cause Y. And they would give this report to an LLM and a beautiful SIM-ready detection rule would come out and you can drop it into your SIM right away and it would detect that threat and would not produce false positive. If you tell me this story 2 years ago, I would say that it's a really good dream, but reality would not make it happen. Today, I pause before I give an answer.
So what is, we have a great alliance between Deloitte and Google. Google brings great technology, Deloitte brings great outcomes.
Yep.
What is the value of an organization like Deloitte in this brave new world?
So back in my Gartner days, I had this pet peeve of companies who embark on a transformation journey or embark on some kind of improvement project, digitization, optimization, whatever. The exact nature doesn't matter. And they assume that the main focus is tools. And of course, in this rarefied audience, people know it would never have worked with just the tools, but people show up and say, just give me the modern SIM instead of the classic 2007 SIM, and then I'll be mostly done. And we tell them that ultimately, if you have the same personnel and the same 1990s processes that migrated into your SOC from your NOC from the 1980s, like a network operations center DNA processes, but you replace your old SIM with Google SecOps, you will get benefits, but you would not get transformational benefits. And then they look at me with big, big eyes and say, well, what do I do? And I mean, you do need to evolve the practice, but you can't buy practice. Even if you are a classic bank and you hire somebody who is ex-Google, ex-Netflix, ex-Meta DNR expert who was very useful in this environment, and you say, magically make my detection response practice into what you had, many people would not succeed because they don't have the organization transformation knowledge, they don't have the modern practices knowledge, and I think that LLM can give you advice, and even maybe advice can be customized to your reality, but ultimately humans would deal with other humans. And one thing that I learned from a Deloitte colleague with whom we're writing a paper is the transformation fatigue. And this was a paper when we combined transformation versus optimizing what you have. And the point he had is that if you just transformed your IAM and you want to transform your SIM, you may be out of transformation fuel. And I'm like, no, the CISO can just order them. Why do we need to think about this? And he's like, no, they can order it, but the project wouldn't succeed. But it's the same thing. Wait, why don't we just follow this blueprint? No, but your organizational capacity for change is exhausted. And I'm like, nah, that's not a thing. And he's like, it's very much a thing. If you don't account for this, you would not succeed. And as they say, then I got enlightened. I thought, yeah, okay, you're right. It isn't the tooling, and it isn't just awareness of the practices. You have to have somebody who lived it, who knows how to, spread it through an organization, through culture. That to me is a magical task. And I mean, to me, that's a Deloitte task. That's not a Google task, and it's not, you can't take it from a book. You can't take it from an LLM. You need to sort of live it.
Cybersecurity used to be an audit checkbox, right? Then it became a risk management process. The holy grail perhaps, but maybe its reality now is an accelerant, an enabler to the business to move ahead safely with its strategy. And I'm very proud to be part of that process with you, and I look forward to further collaborations.
Perfect, same here.
Thank you, Anton.
Thank you very much for inviting me.